Woo, baby.
I thought you were going to tell us a tall tale. You flew the plane home.
Dude, I thought I was going to have to, man, after a while. Jeez Louise, man.
I was like, man, Mike, disappointing us. You didn't even fly first class, brother.
Dude, last row in the back.
You were with the peasants. You were in steerage.
Because we missed the first flight, man. It was brutal. I see no timer, by the way, so if you can hook me up with that or...
No, the timer's there. Timer's there. I'll tell you when we're almost going to hit live. Look at that, Leha. What the F is up? What's up, Leha? Good morning, Sam Salinas. Oh, and I do have your Area 210 shirt, like the one I'm wearing right now.
Yeah.
I have yours as well. We do have merch in the store. I don't know if you've seen it all, but I made 2 of them in your likeness. I kind of made you look like a Simpsons character.
I saw that.
And you have the one that says "Make more money" on the $100 bill, and the sneaky athletic. We're gonna add some more on there.
Chico was wanting to know if we could get a tank top for women on there.
Which one does she want?
The one that's the alien one.
Yeah. I'll see what I could do about getting that. I don't know if they have them, but I'll look. We're about 14 seconds out, Mike.
Okay, the timer came back on.
I said, we didn't know if they were going to let you back in the country, brother. Do another pat down.
Welcome to another episode of the Area 210 podcast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast to you live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up? What's up? What's up? My name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. This is the Area 210 podcast on a very special day, not only in San Antonio, but all over the United States for NBA fans out there. It is Shams Charania Day. It is draft day, baby. We're excited. Spurs picking at what, Joe? 2, 14, and 38?
38.
Got to figure it out, baby. Got to figure it out. I got my Castle jersey on. You have your Spurs cap. I bought the exact same cap yesterday while in Dallas, but I left it in my truck.
I don't know which one I should wear. I'm going to leave it up to the chat. Should I wear the Fiesta colored one or just keep it, the traditional black and silver?
The black and silver is the way to go, man, because we're trying to go back to the glory days when it comes to it all. Yeah. And I know it's draft day and there's a lot of drama going on. We saw a flurry of trades go on over the weekend. Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, for a hot minute there, Spurs fans were asking themselves the question.
Absolutely,
they're trying to talk
ridiculous.
themselves into Porzingis, right? Found it to be interesting. You hear these rumors right now. ESPN's talking about the fact that Jaylen Brown and Derek White might both be tradable today, which is amazing because, again, Jaylen Brown's a big name out there. Spurs have a history of doing business with the Boston Celtics because we know a lot of people on that staff over there. So a lot going on. Are the Spurs going to keep the 2 pick? Are we going to move up from the 14th spot? Are we going to trade the 14th spot? What are we doing? We're going to find out tonight when the NBA draft takes place. I'm excited about it because we have Dylan Harper, Joe. Yeah. And I know we have Team FDM picks and all that stuff. And I was part of that group before the lottery happened. But when the lottery happened and the Spurs got the number 2 overall pick, I had to take a pause, dude. Call it a chocolate. Call it a flip-flop if you wanted. But the fact of the matter is that changed everything because we got Dylan Harper with that pick. I would be Team FDM picks if we had the 3 or 4 or 5 pick. But if we had the 1 or 2, we got to stay the course when it comes to it all because Dylan Harper is better than Stephon Castle was coming out of college. Was a better college player than Castle was coming out of college.
As soon as you heard the Spurs getting that number 2 pick, Mike, you said, I'm jumping off Team F them picks. And you know what?
I don't give a damn.
That's what you said. I don't give a damn.
Because at the end of the day, Joe, you go into the lottery hoping what? To win the lottery, right? And to win the lottery, you have to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. And the Spurs back-to-back years won the lottery. Victor Wembanyama, 2023. Stephon Castle wearing his jersey today, 2024. Both of them rookie of the years. Dylan Harper is the truth. He might not win Rookie of the Year, right? Because Cooper Flagg is probably going to be the one that will, who's going to be drafted number 1 overall by the Dallas Mavericks. But Dylan Harper is a special, special player. And the guy's a bucket getter. And I know he can't shoot the 3 yet, but he's a bucket getter. Leha coming in with a $5 super chat. I'm going to keep it clean, Joe. I don't say the F word anymore on here, Joe.
Well, okay? We do have another
It'll be few and far between, but we'll go ahead and show it on there. He says,
a flip-flop. Before we get to him, we have another incoming super chat first we got to address. And another one after that.
Oh, they're all coming in. I didn't see them.
Jason Garcia says, Mike, show us on the doll where the TSA touched you.
Okay, so we want to get into the story real fast. Okay,
let's get into that story, bro. You almost didn't make it back.
Well, TSA going over to Dominican Republic was no big deal because we bought Clear, right? So we were able to bypass all that stuff. We got a 2-week membership onto the Clear platform, so we got in no problem. On the way back, they got my passport and they went into another room, Joe. They went into another room.
It was legit.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know? And so I freaked out. Francesco's going through, and I'm cracking jokes with customs there. And they finally came back like 10 minutes later, and they brought it back to me, and they said, okay, you can go on through. So I went on through. We get to the customs in Dallas. The line took forever. We missed our flight back home to IAH in Houston. And basically what happened was we had to spend the whole day in Dallas. We get to Dallas on a plane that didn't have enough fuel. Then there was a weather delay. And then the pilot said, well, we're off for the day. And there were no pilots. So we jumped off that plane and we found another flight back home. And by the time we got home, it was a 30-hour journey to get home from the Dominican Republic, which, by the way, was amazing, dude. But did not get touched by TSA this time. I just got checked out, like looked at, and they're looking at my passport and looking at me. Do I look Iranian? Is that what it is? Do I sound Iranian?
You look too ethnic, bro. I don't think they're gonna let you back.
That's what I'm talking about, Joe. That's what I'm talking about.
And we have
several super chats coming in.
Yeah, we have one from Chris Leha we're getting to right now.
Here comes the money.
He wants a flip-flop for Team F them picks till the end. Trade the 2 for Joker. Well, it's going to take like 7 or 10 first-rounders to get Joker. But let's get that flip-flop going.
I think that, that deserves the chunkla, man. Definitely.
That's kind of interesting because thanks, Leha, for the super chat, dude, and thanks for filling in yesterday. It's interesting how the dynamics of the NBA have changed. We had teams of dynasties that went on, right? You had the Lakers recently, you had the Warriors, you had the Spurs. Spurs winning 5 chips. Lakers won 5. They picked up a 6 with LeBron in the bubble of this century, if you will, the last 25, 30 years. You had Golden State go on their run. Prior to that, you had Chicago go on a run. Prior to that, you had the Pistons go on a run. Then you had the Lakers and the Celtics, right? And it's been a team of dynasties that have come on and done it. The Rockets won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But now you look at it, 7 seasons in a row where there has been a different champion in the NBA. And people are like, well, OKC could be the start of a dynasty. But until that happens, it is what it is. And what you're seeing right now, Joe, is all these high-priced contracts that are allowing teams to get 2 or 3 really good players and then have Basuda at the end of the bench or veterans who want to play for the minimum. And what ends up happening is that they get into the luxury tax. And the luxury tax basically means is that you go above a certain threshold, you have to give money to the teams that don't cross the luxury tax.
What apron are you willing to go into? You know,
the first apron or the second apron.
Yeah.
And we see ESPN, Brian Windhorst, refer to it as the apron of death or Satan's apron, right? He says you don't want to be there because you're giving up way too much money at that point. And what ends up happening is that when one of these star players goes down with an injury, and if your team is screwed and you know you're not going to do anything, you have to sell off your assets because it's bad enough to be in the second apron, but to be on the second apron for a team that has no chance of winning is even worse. So right now you see Jason Tatum out with an injury, right?
Yeah, his
Season in
Achilles.
jeopardy for next year. So what are they? What are the Celtics doing? Fire sale, right? Jaylen Brown on the market, Derek White on the market. They already got rid of Drew Holiday,
And Porzingis
Porzingis,
gone.
right? So fire sale, right? They're like, hey, if we're not going to win the chip, we're not going to be in the second apron, right? We have to get rid of all these salaries.
You know what they're doing, Mike? They're telling them, come here in the office. We're going to have a quick meeting. You know what y'all's name's going to be next season? Gone. Gone. And you know what? The GM's going, good.
But they brought this up to the owner of the Denver Nuggets. And the owner of the Denver Nuggets was like, hey, man, the way this apron works, something ever happens, we might have to get rid of number 15, or number 12, whatever he is, referring to Nikola Jokic. And people
we also
like,
have another super chat from Tex-Mex Frank we got to get to.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and show that on screen.
Here comes the money.
So Tex-Mex Franks, thank you so much for your super chat and everybody who's contributed today for the super chats. We appreciate all y'all's support very much. He says, a Spurs fan throbbing por vida draft day and welcome back, Mike. He wants the grito, so he gets the grito.
Go.
You pay for the grito, you get the grito.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
I like that little dog at the end, never gets old, dude.
The dog. So, asking the question, are you throbbing over the draft? Yes, I am throbbing over the draft because I'm excited that Dylan Harper is going to be a part of this team. When the Spurs won the lottery, and I know we wanted Cooper Flagg, I get it. But when we got the number 2 pick, I was super excited because I didn't say, oh, we're getting Ace. We're getting VJ Edgecombe, Conkin Nipple. No, I said, we got Dylan Harper because Dylan Harper is the second best player in this draft and would be number 1 in most drafts. So why are Spurs fans bitching about it? I don't get it. I don't understand how Spurs fans are complaining about us getting a talent that would have gone number 1 probably in 5 of the last 10 drafts. I don't understand it. Not one bit.
And look at what Lejas said. Look at what Lejas says here. He says, I trade 5 first, 5 second, Devin, Keldon, and Jeremy for the Joker. He says, give them to number 2 and 14 this year. Screw it. They'll probably flip it.
They won't go for that. 3-time MVP. They wouldn't go for that. And that's the thing about it is that although that would be a nice haul, it would probably take 7 or 8 first rounders to make that happen. And really the only team that could do that right now is Brooklyn, because I don't know if you saw that, but is it the Brooklyn Nets that have 5 first rounders this year? 5. Mm-hmm. They have 5 first rounders this year. And I read somewhere that it's like half the teams in the NBA don't have a pick in the first round this year. Between picks 13 and 30, Joe.
They're all from somebody else.
They're all from somebody else, including the Spurs, who have number 14, which belong to Atlanta.
Yeah.
28. The Boston Celtics at 28. The only team that owns their pick. 1 through 12 all own their pick. Phoenix at 10 actually had that with Houston, got their pick back in part of the Kevin Durant trade. Durant now with the Houston Rockets, arms race going on in the Western Conference. I'm sorry, I'm reading Alex 7173's chat.
Yeah, you saw that
right here. He says, my wife, who has 0 basketball knowledge, I told her to rank Cooper, Ace, VJ, Harper based on stats and in 30-second videos. She actually picked Harper as her number 1 prospect.
How do you think Chica would pick if we told her, look, here are the 3 guys that we think the Spurs are going to pick? Which one do you think they'll select? You think
Chica's actually a Spurs fan, by the way. She is a Spurs fan. She cheers for the Spurs.
Yeah, but
it has before me.
How would she select it? Do you think she would select it based on how they look or the color of jersey they're wearing? How do you think she would do it?
I think she would judge it based on athleticism and fluidity. I think is what it is.
She used to be a former athlete herself.
She was a college softball player. Yeah, she was. I think Chica's a vampire because I saw her high school photo the other day at her mom's house. like you know, everyone has an 8x11.
She looks the
right?
same.
It's framed. Looks the exact same. So, the hair is the same. It's just weird, dude. It's like Interview with a Vampire.
You know what was funny yesterday? I had put that post a while back on Facebook, right? I put, man, look what just came in. You know, my laser engraver. I posted it on there. And yesterday, I guess she came back or she was on the plane or something. And she's like, what is that? what did you buy? You know, she was asking because she was curious. And I told her I bought a laser engraver, and she sends me the gift on Facebook. Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. She still doesn't know what that means, by the way.
I know.
So going back to like who would you pick and why? I think that Spurs fans are not understanding how good Harper is, because they look at the fact that Rutgers, even though Harper and Ace Bailey, who will both be picked in the lottery, did not take their team to March Madness. But it has been revealed and has been discussed by ESPN and those others who said that Rutgers lost 10 players to the transfer portal when those two came in. And they had 7 other freshmen on that team. It was a team of freshmen out there, and they just didn't get it together. That doesn't mean that these guys aren't talented, but you need to be a team to win, right? But if on an individual basis, Joe, Harper is better than Castle was going into the season. Castle was NBA ready. Harper is NBA ready. And I love the interview that he gave yesterday at the draft. I heard the voice of Don Harris asking a few questions from WOAI and talking about his background. So we know the fact that Ron Harper is his dad. Ron Harper won 5 NBA titles. He won with the Bulls. He won with the Lakers. He won with Kobe. He won with Shaq. He won with Scottie and Michael. That's amazing. He talked about the corporate knowledge that his dad has given him and prepared him for this.
Yeah.
Talked about the fact that his mom didn't realize this, Joe. Did you know his mom is Filipina? So we're going to
didn't know that.
We do have Filipino fans now who are going to be cheering for the Spurs.
And look at what they're saying here in the chat. They said, I understand well enough, Mike. Speak for yourself. And then Black Bucket says, Mike just said Spurs fans don't know ball.
No, I think that Spurs fans get so attached to certain players. We were talking about how
the enamored, they get enamored with them.
How the Celtics got rid of Drew Holiday. They're like, hey, thank you for helping us win the 2024 title. But you're what? Gone. Right? Because Porzingis, thank you for helping us win a chip. You're gone. And they get into that. They get into their feels about that. They're like, well, Castle was rookie of the year. That's great. And I love the fact that Castle's on the team. He's my favorite player on the Spurs team right now. But I do know I have eyes. I watch college basketball. I'm not gonna say that I watch it all day, every day, but I watch enough to know that I watch a lot of Castle, I watch a lot of Harper, and I can tell which one was a better player. The better player is Harper. Okay? And if you're happy that Castle's on this team and you believe that he's going to be a star, then you should be even more happy, more ecstatic that Harper is going to be on this team and not want to get rid of him, because the whole point of getting picks what, Joe? To get the best talent. And we got the second best talent on this team.
Look at what he's saying.
Says, dude, Harper was the one at Rutgers. We're going to just believe that he's going to sit back and take the 3rd or 4th option. Y'all want to add guys to be the number 1 option. Oh, wait, the Spurs. Wait. The answer is yeah. The answer is yeah. Harper, in talking about things yesterday to the media, was talking about the fact that how excited he is to play with Wemby. How, as a point guard, it is a dream to have somebody like Wemby running the break with you. That it is a dream to have somebody like Wemby getting rebounds. It is a dream to have a talent like Wemby around them. He knows, based on that interviews, he knows that this is Wemby's team.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's where I push back with Wemby, though. It's a dream for players to want to play with Wemby, but does that dream translate into going far into a playoff? Because the Spurs right now haven't even sniffed a play-in because they weren't healthy. A lot of other factors happened this season. The consensus is this season, it's playoffs or bust. With a healthy team and a healthy Wemby, the Spurs getting that number 2, number 14, 38th pick, maybe they can make some things happen in the offseason. This should be a team that should actually contend in into the play-in and beyond. Get into
I think it is play-in or bust.
I think it's playoffs or bust. I'm going to be with Pledger on this one. Playoff or bust.
I'm fine with that too. I think the worst case scenario is play-in. And when I say worst case, I'm not saying the 9 or 10. I'm talking about the 7 or 8. Okay, because I think that they're in the range of about 6 through 8 when it comes to it all. Right. So they're kind of a fringe playoff team. They're most definitely a play-in team as it stands right now. The team to worry about, though, Joe, is Portland getting Drew Holiday, because that was a very good top 5 defense going in there. You add an excellent defender in Drew, and if they could be that lockdown defensive team that wins games based on that they have that identity, that's good.
You look at OKC. What did OKC and the Pacers prove into this NBA Finals and even in the playoffs?
The youth can
You
win.
don't have to play lockdown defense for the full 48 minutes, but at some juncture in the context of the game, you got to lock down that team for at least maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Decide to play defense and lock down that team and give yourself a chance to win. The Oklahoma City Thunder did that when they came out in the second half of Game 7. They were kind of right there with the Pacers going back and forth. But when they came out in that third quarter, they said, you know what? We had enough. We're going to go ahead and lock down, play defense, just be all over them, and all over the court and kind of pull away. And that's all she wrote. And that's the thing with the Spurs. The Spurs need to learn how to play team defense consistently for at least a stretch there where it can help you get a win.
Well, I like what you said there, Joe, about the team defense aspect of it all, because from an individualized basis, you have Wemby, who should have been Defensive Player of the Year if it wasn't for the deep vein thrombosis that he had, right? You have Stephon Castle, who's a very good defender. Sohan, when he's out there, is a very good man-to-man defender. De'Aaron Fox one time led the league in steals. Harper can play defense. So individually they can play defense, but it's whether they can play team defense together.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it might take a while, because this team didn't have De'Aaron Fox at the beginning part of last year. The team went into last season believing that Popovich was going to be the head coach. He goes down with the stroke that he suffered at the end of October. You throw in a 37-year-old Mitch Johnson into the mix who wasn't prepared for it. They didn't have an offseason together. So there was no practice time. There was no time for them to gel. There was no time for them to get to know each other. There was no time for them to build rapport.
They don't have an identity right now. They need to form their identity. Maybe they do it this season.
Yeah, well, I that's the confidence level I have, is the fact that the Spurs went from 22 wins to 34 wins, despite all of those things happening, despite the fact that Wemby missed 40% of the season. You have the Spurs. I understand the frustration that you have, right? Because I have that frustration too as a Spurs fan. 6 years in a row of not making the playoffs sucks. At the same time, how many wins does Wemby add if he played those 40% of the games? He missed 30 games or 35 games, whatever. How many more wins do they have if Fox was part of the team? How many more wins do they have if they knew that Pop wasn't going to be the coach and they got to start fresh from the get-go?
If Coach Pop was the coach, I think they would have had less wins.
Mitch, right, but go back in. I agree with you. But go back in time. If Pop had let go of the reins this time last year, and we knew it was Mitch's team going into the Las Vegas Summer League, you would have a continuity that didn't exist. The Spurs last year winning 34 games was a freaking miracle. It was a freaking miracle. And we're all going to give Mitch Johnson crap by saying, you have bad rotations. You couldn't do this and that. He didn't have a good team. He didn't have a team that had rapport either. So I look at it this year. The Spurs right now have the 2 and 14 pick. We're going to pick up Dylan Harper. Let's just call him Stephon Castle 2.0. Right? That's a good piece.
Yeah.
That's a good piece. Spurs have the number 14 pick in the draft. The interesting thing about the Spurs at the 14 pick is Kaman Maluach went back to the Rock for a second review. He went back for a second look, a second workout. That's a sign. Who else? Who's the other player that the Spurs had a second look at? Dylan Harper, right? So the Spurs think that Kaman Maluach is going to be available at 14. He's not. Who's to say that the Spurs don't move back into the upper part of the lottery to get him at 7?
Right now, the Pelicans have him. They're projected that the Pelicans will get him at number 7.
Right.
At number 14, there's a new name that's been circulating as of late yesterday or early this morning, should I say, that they changed and updated their boards. Both ESPN and CBS Sports did their NBA draft mock boards there. It's been Joan Berenger, center out of France. So they might want to go ahead and pair him with Wemby.
Yeah, we talked about him briefly last week. Jean Berger is a player that is considered to be the best rim protector.
Yeah.
And this goes along with the lines of what? Wemby does not want to play what? He doesn't want to play center. But then you're going to have a player who is defensively a gifted player who could be a Rudy Gobert type of guy, but may not have the offensive talent that you want necessarily yet. This is a player that doesn't have a lot of experience playing. It's one of those players that picked up basketball late in life, right? But is showing flashes of, oh my God, look at what you can do. Look at how you can dunk the ball. The guy is not going to spread the floor. He's not a spread five, but defensively, he fills a lot of gaps when it comes.
Let's look at his scouting report. I'm going to show it on screen because I had this one ready to go. So this is from NBADraft.net. We're going to go ahead and look and see what the kid can do right now. And they're showing, some of his numbers as far as
7 foot 235.
Mm-hmm.
And that was legit because they actually measured him after the combine because he was out playing in Europe. So he wasn't able to do everything, but he did come in a legit 7-footer.
Yeah, and they kind of just show, where they think he's going to get projected at. The 2024 mock 2025 draft shows him at 19. The big board still shows him at 14, which is why they are kind of comparing him to, the Spurs are going to go ahead and pick him at 14. But, his strength, they're kind of saying that. I don't know if you can read that on screen, Mike.
Yeah, it says explosive and toolsy big man with elite length and intriguing long-term upside. Stands 6'10". It did get increase to 7 foot. Quick twitch athleticism and jumps off the film, brings consistent energy and high motor, a tone setter defensively, who elevates the team effort level when on the floor. Elite rim protector, strong timing and instincts. Basically a defensive god. Yeah. Offensively, though, I mean, unless you're giving him a dunk, that's all he's got right now. That's his entire bag right there.
One thing that was interesting that I got out of this whole thing is the ability to lob. He can go ahead and set up Harper. He can set up Wemby, get a rebound, kind of be a rim protector down in the paint. Those are things that you want out of your center. Now, if you go ahead and get point production out of him as well, and you can get I don't know, maybe 10 points, 12 points a night, might not be too bad. If you got Wemby, you got Harper, you got Castle, you got Fox, that's not a bad mix there. At least he's contributing to the overall, let's say, success of the team. If they go on to win and go into the playoffs, I think he would be an instrumental part of that, down low, being that anchor in the paint.
Agreed. And it's one of those things where, what's the identity going to be? Are we going to be like Portland and have our identity be we can't shoot threes, but we play really good defense and we can knock down mid-range jumpers? I mean, I guess that is an identity, but it's just not what 2025 is all about.
Here's his weakness: free throw shooting. His 53% from the stripe. Low post game is underdeveloped. So in certain aspects, he's still a raw player. At number 14, he does have a good upside as far as what he can bring defensively. Of course, the lob is exciting because Spurs fans will see a lot of high flying action, dunks and whatnot out of this young man being able to go ahead and pass the ball to his teammates. But as far as what they want out of him from an offensive perspective, he's still raw, and that's going to happen at number 14. No matter who you pick, they're going to have an upside. They're going to have a weakness. They're kind of raw at that position. You go ahead and take a chance, but this wouldn't be a bad pick for the Spurs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's going on to say that he cannot create his own shot, and that is part of it. Another name that you're seeing a lot out there when it comes to the Spurs, and we have someone say Rasheer Fleming, Tony Arnales. I saw CBS Sports' mock draft. Their final mock draft has Fleming dropping all the way to the second round. It's interesting because certain players rise up the draft boards, right? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, right? You've had players like Josh Primo rose from, that's a fringe end of the first round, beginning of the second round guy to all Spurs draft him at 12, right? And why did the Spurs draft him at 12? Because Oklahoma City wanted him at 16, right? But then you have some players that fall for whatever reason. Their individual workouts suck. They don't interview very well. They tank their own stock like Ace Bailey is right now. But a name that we're seeing a lot right now is Washington State's Cedric Howard.
Yep.
And that's a name that a lot of mock drafts are saying that is shooting up the mock drafts, shooting up the draft boards right now. And Spurs are projected to take him at 14 by a lot of outlets right now. This is a guy that played D3 ball and eventually made his way to the Washington State Cougars. That reminds me of that journey that Derek White had when Derek White played D3 ball, made his way over to Colorado, and got picked in the first round by the Spurs. There's something to be said about that. I mean, we saw that in football, right? The number 1 overall draft pick played ball. Cam Ward played at Carter Word and made his way over to Miami, right? There's something to be said about that player who was that 3-star athlete or that 2-star athlete who developed their game at a lower level, worked their way up, and is now going to be a first-round draft pick. Cedric Howard can do one thing, Joe. And this is, I'm going to get the actual stats on here, Joe.
I'm going to go ahead and show the draft scouting report on him as well.
The last I checked, Joe, the guy can shoot. Average 17.7 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. He's older than a lot of the Spurs players right now because he played 3 years of college ball. He's 21 years old. But what I like, Joe, guess what he shot from 3 last year, Joe?
What did he shoot?
40%.
That's not bad. From beyond the arc.
What did he shoot at D3? 39%.
And look at here.
And he's not a guy that's only going to shoot. He's not a kind of guy that's just going to shoot. He's only shot 1 or 2 per game. He was shooting 5 per game at 40% clip. 6'6", small forward.
Yeah, and look at those are some of his comparisons and his strengths here. If you can see that on the screen,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, saying that Howard is smooth, versatile wing with a near 7-foot wingspan, impressive efficiency, and a quality diverse skill set. At 6'6", he plays with pace, patience, and feel, rarely forcing shots and overextending offensively. A high-level shooter with clean mechanics and a touch from multiple levels, shows comfort scoring off the catch, off movement, and pulling up from mid-range. Joe, it just sounds like a Derek White 2.0.
Yeah,
right?
But look at his weaknesses. Not an explosive athlete. He can struggle to create separation or elevate in traffic against NBA-level defenders.
Sounds like
Mostly
Derek White.
scores without rhythm and doesn't consistently blow by defenders or generate paint pressure on his own. So he's going to need that screen. He's going to need to come off of maybe a pick-and-roll action.
Kyle Anderson's type.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Anderson was bigger, could play down low.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. There's a name out there that I find to be interesting. Noah Sendré, I believe is his name. He's from France. Did you hear the story about him, Joe, and him being at the draft and the what's it called? The grief that he's getting for being there. He's a French basketball player.
I heard that, dude. He said F his team, bro.
Yeah, he's a power forward, right? 18 years old, 6'10", 204 pounds. He's playing in a German league right now, and they're in their finals, right? Their version of the NBA Finals, and it's a best-of-5 series, and they're up 2-1, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna miss this game."
Peace out.
You guys might win the chip without me, but I would be gone. I gotta go get drafted. And you know what? I don't blame him, Joe. I don't blame him one bit. There are all these people who are like, I cannot believe this football player did not play in the Rose Bowl because he didn't want to get hurt before the draft, or they didn't take part of the Senior Bowl or whatever. Dude, I'm sorry, man. It's all about individual aspects of it all, Joe. This is his dream to make it to the NBA. He'll never get this moment again. Give him a break, dude.
You know why he's leaving his team? It's just like you say, Mike. He wants to make more money. If he gets an NBA contract, he's probably going to make more money than he's making now.
Yeah.
I can't fault the guy for wanting to make some money. Go out there and see if he can get drafted. But I mean, it's a bad look, though. You're leaving your team when they're playing in their version of the finals, just for a chance to at getting drafted.
Right. For a taste. I see you taking a taste out of the Yeti from MCS General Contracting. They power the chat. That's a Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's.
Okay, well, let's
Leha
show some
hasn't
love to
given me
Leha.
my Yeti yet, but you know what? That's
Give you? I pay for mine. What do you mean give
Oh,
you?
no, bro. Some of us don't pay for our stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give some love to MCS General Contracting. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show. And there you go. The chat is powered by MCS General Contracting.
That Diamond Heart Concrete, baby. They do a fantastic job. I was a client of theirs as well. They did a fantastic job over at my house. They did a sidewalk. Amazing. People are reaching out to me, giving me crap right now. By the way, the number, give them that number, Joe.
Yeah, the number is 210-774-9155. Go ahead and give Chris Leha a call. If you want to go ahead and get it done right the first time, you call MCS General Contracting. They're not going to be the cheapest, but you know what? You're not going to have to get the job done twice. They can do everything. If you want an ADA compliant, let's say ramp for your business, or you need a parking lot, you need a slab laid down in the backyard for your basketball court, pickleball court, or you need a foundation for your home, give MCS General Contracting a call at 774-9155.
Very nice, Joe. Very nice. I'm looking at the list of players that have been invited to the draft tonight. And I don't know if this is the final list, but it's interesting to see the names that are left off of there, right? Because we were talking about Rasheer Fleming. I don't see his name invited. And usually if you're invited, it's because the sources have told the NBA that, hey, this guy is not going to make it past 25, right? But you see players, obviously Cooper Flagg, Harper, Bailey, Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, Maluwatch, Fears, Knipple, Kasparis, Denman, Carter Bryant, Derek Queen, Asa Newell, Murray Boyles, Sorbet, McNeely, Riley, all invited. There's another batch that are going to get an invite as well, but one of those guys probably won't make it tonight, right? There's going to be that one guy that always gets bumped off, right? And there's going to be also, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, look at this. This made me laugh here. Somebody was saying something, and it was funny, dude. Let me go ahead and find it real quick. Oh, here it is. Leha says, Mike said, what the hell? I paid for mine when it came to your Yeti. Well, the reason why is because I have that laser engraver now, right? That big old laser engraver that I got to set up and everything. So we're going to do some test runs, right? With the Yetis and all that for businesses. MCS is going to be one of those. So I'll go ahead and, tell Leha, just bring the Yetis in. Let me go ahead and do a test run. I'll keep the first one, and we'll do something with the others as far as giving them away, giving them out, or selling them, or whatever he wants to do with it. That's cool. Why I'm saying I'm working for mine.
Okay, so mine is I had a fork over for like $45 each for them, but it is what it is. We had a July 26th say MCS is not the cheapest, so just go make more money. Yep. And Sam Selena says, you make money, Mike, no free crap for you. I got a text message a couple of days ago from Tim Spence. I used to do that show at San Diego Sports Star with Tim Spence back in the day. And he was giving me crap about being in the Dominican Republic. He goes, dude, do you ever work? I hope your clients are not Facebook friends because you're always on vacation. Chica and I, in the last 6 months, have gone to Barbados, Jamaica. We've gone to the Dominican Republic. We've gone to Las Vegas, Laughlin, Dallas, Austin, Oklahoma, Lake Charles, Key West, and Miami twice. Dude, Chica and I are on the go, dude. On the go.
You know what? You got to stay put sometime because I've been wanting to go to Houston to go visit you guys.
Oh, dude.
And you're all always busy. You're always gone. You're going somewhere every weekend.
Well, Chica has Friday. Like she's off like every other week. She gets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. So it's 4 days off. She's like, let's go do something. So we go out and go do something. But that's the benefits of being, I guess, empty nesters and all that stuff. And we're trying to figure things out, man.
I got to tell you all ahead of time. I'm like, look, Chica, Mike, I plan on going to visit you all this weekend. Can you all stay put? I'll probably leave. Like if I leave on a Friday after I get out of work, I'll leave at 9. So I'll probably stay somewhere. I don't want to intrude, and get there at 1 or 2 in the morning and have you guys wait up for me. It's like, I'll get a place and I'll see you all the next day,
Jonathan C says Mike's in that honeymoon phase. Chica travels, dude. Like she's like gonna grab me by the arm and go, we're gonna go do stuff. She and with her kids, and her kids are college age, but everywhere they're everywhere.
What Tony's saying, he goes, Mira, Mike, Tony needs a vacation, dude, but he can't leave because you're always out.
Well, let's see. Where am I going to be? I'm going to be in San Antonio next week for a while.
Give you your shirt then.
I'm going to be in Miami at the end of the month, at the end of July, because Chica's daughter is walking the stage for the white coat ceremony.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
And they're going to give her the white coat. And then we have one more trip to Puerto Rico. That's going to be in August. And then I think we're going to tone it down until we buy a house in January, wherever that's going to be.
Look at Spirit Air, no pre-check, no thanks.
Dude, we flew Spirit to the Dominican Republic. It was wild.
Did you go first class?
No, man. We sat midway.
Oh, you were in coach with the peasants, bro.
It was funny. We had the butler suite, like the high-end suite, but we took Spirit there. We had to save money somewhere to make that happen. Spirit's
not even that much for first class. You can go get your granola bar that you wanted,
dude,
because they won't let you buy it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we flew Spirit, and I was the row behind the first class. Which Spirit first class is funny, and I saw them with kind bars. I'll take a kind bar. That's for first class. I know, I get it. I'll just buy it. No.
Look at that. Look at Sith. He's saying that he's ordained. He can go ahead and marry y'all.
Can I be a groomsman? I'm ordained to more. Nice. No, because he'll try to do some sort of Star Wars or wrestling aspect of it all.
No. He'll be classy. He's gonna wear the T-shirt that has, the little front of it looks like a freaking tuxedo. It's just painted on there,
He'll be like, "Do you, Francesca, take him? You will." And it'll be like that, dude.
He'll say,
like
"F it, we ball."
Yoda talk.
F it, we ball. Look, Spirit never had issues with planes, though. Is what he's saying.
You know what's so funny? We flew American on the way back. And Chica told me she was more comfortable on the Spirit plane than she was American. I don't know, man. You know what Spirit planes are? Because when you get on a Spirit plane, you're on an old plane, right?
Yeah.
And you would think that because you're on an old plane, that's a bad thing. But it's like driving in an El Camino, dude. It's like driving in one of these 70s or 80s pickup trucks that just go on for days and days and days. Whereas like the new planes from American Airlines feel, I don't know, like a Tesla truck. It's like,
do they drive like a Tesla? Because you said the Tesla drove like shit.
Oh my god, dude!
Like Tesla a golf cart.
Awful. That was the worst experience ever. Was doing a hybrid car. These suckers just standing there, charging their car for an hour.
If you're in petrol, bro, you have gasoline, you just go in there and in and out less than 8 minutes, bro. Here's $30-$40. Boom, and you see these poor bastards out there baking in the sun like a fucking cookie.
If gas is under $4, I'm gonna be doing gas. But you know what's so funny is that Chica made fun of me yesterday because we were being dropped off at the garage where we kept the parking lot where we kept the truck. So the shuttle's taking us over. It's like a valet service where they don't just take you back to the lot. They actually take you directly to your car. And so they take me directly to my car, and the lady goes, "Hey man, nice truck." And for those of you who don't know, I bought myself a 2025 Dodge Rebel. It's a Ram 4x4. And So I upgraded from the small dainty truck to like this. It's not a 250 or 350, but it's a big truck.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Hey man, nice truck. It's black on black. You know, it looks nice." And apparently, the way I said thank you made me sound douchey as opposed to appreciative. And Chica was like, "You sounded like a douchebag." And I was like, man, I wasn't trying to sound like a douchebag. I was really appreciative. I'm just not used to it, dude. I'm just not used to it. July 26th says, "Did you tell her thanks? You can get a truck like this if you make more money."
You know, it would have been even better, dude, if you were wearing the freaking shirt that we have for sale over here in the store that says "Make more money." You said, "Oh, thanks. You could afford one too if you make more money." And speaking of that, we got to go ahead and give some love to the store, man. I got to show the store because everybody's been asking about these shirts and the merch and all that, and where can they go and get it. I'll share the link with you guys right now. This is the store. You know, these are the shirts that we have over on our Fourth Wall online store. We have a brand new Alamo City Podcast Network logo there. And look at the shirts, man. They're some of our catchphrases that y'all like. What's his name? Gone. You know, this one is one of my personal favorites here. The one with Mike's likeness on it as a Simpsons character, and it says, "Make more money."
Yeah, that's right, baby. That's
you know,
right.
so we got some shirts here. We got some merch for you guys. And of course, we have the sneaky athletic one with your likeness on it as well, Mike. I think it came out really nice. You know, and then we have the one that's Leja's favorite, F them picks, you know?
Yeah.
And look at the shirts have the little patch on the arm, the Area 210.
That's a great touch, dude.
So yeah, you can also get the Alamo City Podcast Network one that everybody likes there. And then we have the Area 210 that comes in both the dark colored and the light colored versions of it, the colorways. So everybody has a choice of what they want to go ahead and get. But in order to get to that, I'm going to go ahead and show this graphic. So if you all want to go ahead and buy merch, you can just scan the QR code that you're seeing. If you're watching this on TV, you can go ahead and scan that with your phone and go to the store right away and go ahead and purchase your merch. And it'll be delivered. I think it takes like 7 to 14 days, something like that. But I got your shirt here ready to go too, Mike, for when you make it back into San Antonio.
That's badass. I like that Alamo one, Joe. Hey, a big shout out and congratulations to In the Building, Mike Taylor and Rudy J. I don't know if you saw the news over the weekend. They got picked up by Channel 6 KRIS in Corpus Christi, Texas. So they're going to be doing a Saturday morning sports talk show over there in Corpus. It's going to be about Texas sports. That is badass.
Yeah,
I have tinkered with the idea of seeing if somebody wants to like spin off of us. We have to talk about that, Joe.
We can. I mean, we have a lot of stuff that we can go ahead and spin. As far as we've had interviews with celebrities, we've had boxers that come into the studio, like we just had on Friday. You know, we had Mr. Carrenas come into the studio with us right off his fight with Inoue there.
Right.
We've had Goldberg. We've had athletes, you know, and we've had a lot of people on the show. Plus, you know, just us talking, and I think we have a good show.
And that's why I kind of want to clean up the language on the show, Joe. And it's not because I'm trying to be like, you know, preachy or whatnot. It's because I want to see if we can market this and co-brand with a bigger brand.
Yeah.
And that would require a cleaning up of language, Joe.
Look at Mike said Corpus is really poor city, so congratulations, Mike Taylor.
Let's go back to the draft tonight, Joe. Yeah. What are the odds? If you had to put an odds on it, I'm seeing Brian Windhorst doing this again.
Oh God, it's going crazy.
What are the odds that the Spurs pull a trade today? Now, I know a lot of Spurs fans were upset over the weekend because Kevin Durant went to Houston, and because apparently we flirted with, or Spurs fans flirted with the idea of getting a Kristaps Porzingis on the team. What are the odds of the Spurs doing a move today? Because I'm not saying that the Spurs have not. I'm sure the Spurs kicked the tires on Durant. They probably saw the price tag and went, nah. I'm sure that the Spurs have kicked the tires around lots of other players out there. Maybe the Spurs kick the tires on getting. I'm gonna put a trade proposal out there, Joe. Would you trade Devin Vassell for Derek White?
That's a tough one, man, because who has a bigger salary there? Who's owed more salary? Is it Vassell or White?
Oh, White, Vassell.
Well, then that's a no-brainer. If that's the case, you go ahead and get rid of Vassell. You go ahead and bring in White. White's going to be a more consistent player.
They're relatively the same. They're relatively the same, Joe.
He's a role player, though. Let's be honest with this. You know, White is a good role player. He's going to be an instrumental piece coming off of that second unit. You know, and I think that would be where he's going to fit. And I wouldn't be mad. I'd welcome the change if we go ahead and do that. Get rid of Vassell, bring in White. Boom, there you go. Second unit got better.
Yeah, JHNSB says we don't need more guards. It's a 15-player roster, Joe. JHNSB. It's a 15-man roster. So if you figure you have 15 players, 8 of them will be bigs and 7 of them will be smalls or vice versa. So it seems like a lot because there's only 5 players on the court at one time. But to fill out the whole bench, you need to have depth. Because if a player goes down, next man up, right? You need to have depth. That's why Oklahoma City was so good this year. That's why Indiana was so good this year. All the teams that made it far this year had what? They had depth.
They had
some sort.
Yep.
And this is all a blessing because if Castle goes down with an injury, Harper's there. Harper goes down with an injury, Castle's there. They both go down with an injury, Vassell's there, or maybe Derek White if we pull a trade for him. All of that, to me, Joe, makes it so the Spurs are doing something special. Because if you have a backcourt, Joe, even let's say the Spurs don't make any moves, right?
Yeah.
The Spurs have a backcourt of Fox, Castle, Harper, Vassell. I mean, that's kind of nice, Joe.
Yeah.
That is kind of nice. Like you could say, okay, they don't shoot, but they play defense. They can handle the rock. They're athletic. They can get to the hole. They can all make their shot. What can De'Aaron Fox do, Joe? Create a shot. Does he shoot threes well? No, but guess what he can do? He can create his own shot. What does Castle do? Create his own shot. Harper, better three-point shooter than Castle. Guess what he can do? He can create his own shot. Vassell can create his own shot. Okay, well, then at least they have some sort of ability there. On the forwards, you got the Honda Accord. You got the Toyota Corolla himself and Harrison Barnes. Kelvin Johnson can make some buckets. Sohan hopefully improving from that aspect. We do need a big. We need somebody to come in to play backup center or whatever the case may be. The idea of us having a Bismack Biyombo starting next year would piss me off, right?
Look at what Leha said. He goes, "That's awesome, Mike. They'll just have no backup for when Wemby, if or when he goes down." And I hear what you're saying about this,
there's no such thing as a backup for Wemby. What, Kevin Durant? I mean, that's the only backup that you have for Wemby. That's the only skill set player of that size.
Did you hear that the Spurs are still in that Bismack Biyombo hunt there? If they want to go ahead and run it back again.
I mean, he wasn't bad.
He's all right.
They threw him into the fire. He
literally
right. Quit back and go, "What's your name? I'm gonna pass you the ball." Okay, like he didn't know any of these guys. That's the interesting thing about it is. I think the odds of the Spurs doing something is relatively high. Doesn't mean that they will, but I think that the market for them to do so is interesting because if the Spurs somehow came out of this draft, Joe, with let's say the Spurs got rid of an extra first rounder they got, and they got Maluach from Duke.
Yeah.
Or they moved up into the draft. Let's say Con Knipple falls to 6. Joe, I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Well, let's see how far the Spurs can move up if they want to go ahead and get somebody.
Is that the ESPN draft?
ESPN draft.
The final mock draft. Let's go to the top.
Yeah.
Let's go to the top.
So I was looking at, what they are saying right now. And basically, if you start at the top, number 1, of course, they're having the consensus is Mavericks are going to pick Cooper Flagg. Number 2, Spurs are going to go ahead and pick Dylan Harper, right? Then you have number 3, you have VJ Edgecombe being picked
God,
by
I
the
like
Pistons.
Edgecombe, dude. Edgecombe, I mean, he is so fluid in how he plays and how he gets to the hole, man.
But would you
He
take
gets.
him over Harper?
Oh, never, never. Um, it's one dimensional. He's fluid. If the Spurs had the number 3 pick, I'd rather have him than Ace Bailey. VJ Edgecombe is just smooth. Harper is just as smooth, but you have the ability to play point, which is what VJ Edgecombe can't do. So the ability to play point, the ability to knock down the occasional 3. Harper's a better player, but Edgecombe might be like that one player that you look at 5 years from now and go think to yourself, that was a good player. Who they got it for?
And at number 4, Con Knipple.
Okay, I don't buy it. I think that Colin Knipple might be the one that falls today. I think that's the one because there's going to be some team that gets enamored with Jeremiah Fears, Trey Johnson, Maluwach. I think Con Knipple might be the one that falls to 8, man.
Look at Utah Jazz at number 5. They have them picking up Jeremiah
Fears. One of the youngest players in the draft, man. I mean, the guy can create a shot. He can drive in. Ace Bailey potentially following to 6 overall. Most big boards have him at number 3. By the way, Ace Bailey is Dylan Harper's best friend. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. Dylan
Harper talked highly of Ace Bailey, and they asked him the question about why is your friend tanking his stock in order to fall? And he basically says he's doing what's best for him, man. He doesn't want to play for teams 3, 4, or 5. He wants to go to a place where he's gonna play. And I think that's the thing is that Dylan Harper could have done the same thing, right? Dylan Harper could have been like, man, you guys have Castle. I'm not going to play.
Yeah, we do have an incoming super
chat. Harper
manned
up about it.
Yeah, we have a super chat coming in from the Drew Show.
Money talk. Here
comes the money.
Appreciate you, Drew Show. And he goes, Mike got caught up with the TSA yesterday and chose violence today. Clean up your language. He says, no. He goes, do you know what this show is? Don't listen to him, Joe.
Oh, is he talking about Dan Levitard? You don't know the show. You don't get the show. Thank you for the super chat. $5. Thank you so much for the support, man. I'm just saying. You know, it has to be a marriage between it all, right? There has to be a marriage between it all. Like it's kind of like it's kind of like when you get to know us, you get to be okay with it, right? But I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. I'm not saying 100% clean. I'm just saying clean up a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
You would have been sorely disappointed in yesterday's show with both Elias and
Lehan. Oh, I heard it. I heard it. It was awful. It was unlistenable, Joe. It really was. I'm sorry. You know, you guys had great takes. I was enjoying so much of it. Yeah, the first half of the show was very good with very good takes. I thought Sith had a fantastic takes, but the second that it goes into every other word's a curse word, it's unlistenable to about 99% of people that watch the show. It's true. It is true.
Oh,
but what's so funny is that all the takes you guys were doing were actually very good. I was impressed with Sith and Chris when it came to a lot of the takes. And Joe, you had some really good comments about the Spurs' future and the disappointment you've had with the team in the past and all that stuff. That's all good. But the fact of the matter is that the whole point is to have more listeners, not fewer listeners.
Look at yesterday's show. Definitely. He go better than any show MJ on.
I was listening to it while at Target yesterday. I was in stinky underwear and stinky shirt from the day before because I had no luggage there in Dallas.
Dude, why didn't you just go commando, bro? Just throw those chones in the damn trash, man.
Man, I had to go to Target and
just go get some wipies and give the undercarriage a once over.
No, dude, we had to get brand new clothes, baby. Burn the old ones, man.
What happened? Go to the plus section.
What's that again?
You went to the plus size section.
Plus size. Oh. You know what's weird, Joe? You know what's weird? I ate super healthy over there in and it's because I have my daughter there, right? So when Chica and I go on when we go on vacations, right? We go to the adults only resorts, right? Which means what? Just boozing it up the entire time, right? David Martinez. What did David Martinez is?
Let me see. Let me go back. Oh, there it is.
It says the show yesterday was too much for the Marbach on the Marbach side, not enough on the Stone Oak side.
The coconut side. Nah, I'm good.
Sam Salinas says, Raw Mike, it was unlistenable to 1% of the listeners. The one guy complained. No, you don't understand is that they don't complain to you guys on the chat. They complain to me. They text me. They will DM me. They will tell me, hey, man, I saw a show that you did a couple weeks ago. I couldn't watch it because of X, Y, and Z.
Because Joe cursed.
Well, they have said that those there are a lot of people who've reached out to me, Joe, and have said that they don't mind a little bit of cursing, but when it becomes too much cursing, that they tune it out. And Joe, that's the evolution of this show. Is that I think that you and I could take the cue from Rudy and Mike. And by the way, that's not a novel idea. I congratulate them for that. But you and I have discussed this before. If we want to align ourselves, for example, with a Ken's 5. If we want to align ourselves with the Case at 12, Express News, MySA, Current, whoever, if we wanted to somehow join forces, it would need to be like, hey, you can go like, hey, well, if you want to see what we do, here's an example of what we do.
F them picks.
Yeah. And I have no problem saying F them picks. You can say that without saying the actual word.
Hey, and look at I just changed my hat.
Now we're trying.
You noticed.
Now we're trying to co-brand, Joe. I mean, I want to co-brand.
And look at that. They got an incoming super chat again from the Drew Show.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
And look what he's saying. He says,
Coconut Mike would want to remove the flavor from the show, be like the other bland shows. Great marketing, Mike language. Now he's CPT. I don't know what that means.
America.
I don't know what that means. But we do appreciate the $5.
Yesterday's show was all Anson Jones.
Just need a touch of
Hobby Middle School Mike. They said he's talking about Lerma. They said stop the cap, Mike.
No, it's actual truth. You can go into the metrics of it all. I'm not saying that we're going to lose the flavor of it all, but what I am saying is that if we're going to keep it between ourselves and just keep this podcast the way that it is, we can do whatever the hell we want. But if we actually want to make this podcast big and branch out, some of those elements have to go. It just is what it is. You know, because
damn, I guess I can't sponsor anymore.
Why do you want to align yourself with a dying medium? I didn't say we're going to align ourselves with Ken's 5. I'm saying that's an example of what you can do. And by the way, TV is not a dying medium. There's other ways of watching things. Co-branding basically means that you get other sponsors. You get new sponsors, dude. That's a whole point of it all. Tony says, replace the F with fudge. Can we get off of this, man? Can we get off of this?
We're talking about the NBA draft. So we're looking at, at least look at the top 10 picks. We're talking about at number 6, the Washington Wizards were, rumored here or mocked to go ahead and get Ace Bailey. At number 7, the New Orleans Pelicans are rumored here to get Cayman Maliak. That's what you were high on right now. Center out of Duke. That's how far the Spurs would have to move up from 14 going all the way up to number 7.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
Who refused to work out for anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. He was like, F them workouts.
Yeah. It's Shedeur Sanders style. Okay.
F them interviews. Right? Basically saying, you have the tape. I was at the combine. You saw me perform at the combine. You have the tape. Obviously does not want to be taken 2 or 3. Obviously doesn't. Right? But does a team just tell the guy, hey, go to work. Sign a contract. Sign a contract. A team like the Washington Wizards, who got Alex Sarr a good rookie last year, right? Made all NBA rookie first team. When you look at that, Joe, can you, if you're the Washington Wizards, pass up on an Ace Bailey, who is definitively the third best player on this, third best prospect out there on most draft boards out there, Joe? Do you have the ability to do that? To tell your fan base, hey, we didn't get to vet this guy. We saw him play 35 games at Rutgers. He was very good, but we didn't get to vet the guy. We didn't get to interview him, but we're still going to pick him anyway. Or do you think teams are going to be fearful of that and that he might be the one that falls? Because Shadur Sanders was supposed to be a top 5 player picked in the draft last year, last NFL draft, fell to the 5th round because people were just didn't feel like he was worth the headache. If Ace Bailey's doing this because here's the thing, Joe, if Ace Bailey does this during the draft process and he becomes like an Uncle Dennis later on with Kawhi Leonard, all the signs were there that he was going to do that.
Let me ask you this question. Here's where it gets interesting, right? Ace Bailey falls in the draft. You're the San Antonio Spurs. And I believe he's going to fall in the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
And your Spurs are here at number 14. And Ace Bailey's there. And you have Beringer, or however you want to say it, there at number 14. You're going to pick best available player. In my mind, Ace Bailey is the one you pick at number 14.
Oh, most definitely, because he would have a pacifier. His best friend would be who? Dylan Harper. So maybe the Spurs moving up in the draft to 5 or 6. Okay, so how about this as a scenario, Joe? How about this as a scenario? Spurs trade 14, 38, and 2 future first rounders. Let's say they trade the 2027 pick for the Atlanta Hawks. How about this? Put this as a poll question. This would be a good poll question for tonight. Trade to Washington. The 14, the 38, the 2027 Atlanta pick, and whatever the extra pick that we have. I think we have Boston's 2030 to move up to draft Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper's best friend.
That could be a possibility, but you'd have to.
No, but would you do that? Would you do that in a heartbeat?
If you have a possibility to get Ace Bailey, and you're not going to have to, let's say, bet the farm to do it. Why not? Why not?
Okay, but what if that farm is 3 first rounders, 14 Atlanta's? Because here's the thing about Atlanta's, man. With Porzingis going to Atlanta, you kind of figure they're going to be decent. I know he has injury issues and he usually only plays 55, 60 games. I get that. But what I'm saying is, what if that's the play? Imagine the Spurs getting Ace Bailey and getting the 2nd and 3rd best prospects in this draft. Because I would much rather have that than trade 5 or 6 picks to get Kevin Durant, which they didn't do. 7 or 8 picks to pay to get Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown being at $60 million a year. Why not just trade Atlanta's pick and the Boston pick and the 14 and go get Ace?
So who would you trade with? You're going to be trading with who? The Pelicans? You're going to be trading with the Washington Wizards? If Bailey is still on the board.
If Bailey's still on the board at 5 or 6, yeah. Overpay. Drew Show saying that nobody does that. Great. Overpay. Nobody trades for 2 first rounders for 2 first rounders for 1 to move up. Yeah, why not?
Look at your good friend Alex Noriega says, "Don't do it."
Dude, I mean, I can't believe Because here's the problem, Joe. Scroll down to 7, 8, 9, and 10. Who are the teams there?
So at number 7, you have New Orleans Pelicans,
okay, New Orleans,
Nets,
Brooklyn,
Toronto
who has several
Raptors,
picks,
and Suns.
Okay. Yeah, Joe. If that's the move, if that is the move, I'd be supportive of it, Joe.
And that's one of the things that people don't talk enough about. And I kind of mentioned it, and your eyes got big there too, because you were thinking the same thing. Nobody, and I mean nobody but us, has talked about the Spurs possibly moving up in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I saw was some chatter that I saw yesterday. I believe it was our good friend Paul Garcia. He had retweeted something from somebody else, and they were talking about the Spurs possibly moving up in the draft. But beyond that, I haven't really heard much about anybody talking about that beyond just me and you. The Spurs have an opportunity if they see a guy that they must have. Could it be Ace Bailey? Possibly. And if he's still on the board, 6, 7, and the Spurs are just looking there at number 14, they'd be like, you know what? Make the call.
Make the call.
Make the call. You know?
And it's funny because people are saying that this doesn't happen. Do you know who the 4th ranked player in the draft was? Let me see what year that was. The idea that this doesn't happen, right? The idea that players don't fall and that there are contingency plans in the mix. I was looking, Joe, at a mock draft. The mock draft was ESPN's final mock draft in 2011. Who was the 4th ranked player on that mock draft?
Who was it? Bailey?
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard. Oh, I'm sorry.
2011.
Okay, yeah.
2011.
Okay, you're talking about that draft.
He fell all the way down, and the Spurs had a trade in place with Indiana saying, hey, man, if he falls to you guys, if our guy falls to you, can we trade George Hill for him?
Georgie.
And Indiana was like, and Indiana was caught off guard because they're like, wait a minute, this guy fell all the way down the draft. Are you going after him? And what did the Spurs say?
Yeah.
The hell with you guys. Do we have a trade or not? And apparently, they were there. It was, oh my goodness, Joe.
I remember that one broke Coach Pop's heart there.
Yeah.
Yes, he absolutely loved George Hill, man. He called him Georgie. So he knew he had to go ahead and make the call and bring him in and be like, hey, man, look at here, young one. You gone.
Mm-hmm.
Pack your bags. You out of here. But, the interesting part is they're saying some of the fans here have said, at number 14, you draft for need. No, you don't. You pick the best available player at number 14. The best available players what the Spurs are going to go with. Now, when you get to 38, you can go ahead and draft for need. But at this point, the mock drafts have the Spurs at number 38, picking Jamir Watkins, small guard / small forward out of Florida State.
Look who they have at 31.
Let's see. At 31, Minnesota Timberwolves selecting Ben Seraph.
Okay. Scroll up a little bit. Where's Rasheer Fleming on here?
Let me see. Let's see if I can find him here.
That dude's falling in most mock drafts.
Yeah. There he is. Number 27, Brooklyn Nets are projected to select him via the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, power forward from St. Joe's, right? A lot of Spurs fans. I know our good friend Eric Salinas has been jumping off up and down in buildings. Spurs Twitter. Talking about Rasheer Fleming. Why is this guy falling? Is it because he went to St. Joe's? I mean, St. Joe's is a basketball school. So it's not like St. Joe's has a bad program.
No.
But for some reason, he is falling. Look at that line they have right there on ESPN, second paragraph there. Fleming was not invited to the NBA draft green room. Pointed to the likelihood he might fall to the back of the first round. He hasn't gathered much momentum that he had in past months, but remains a consideration because of his physical tools and improving three-point shooting. What if he falls to the second round, Joe? Spurs have a crap ton of second-round picks.
You're at 27. You could make a deal with the Nets, bro.
Move on up. Move on.
I
Up.
look at Hanover.
Do you know why? Do you know why you make that move with the Nets, Joe? You know why you
Why?
make that move with the Nets? Because the Nets have 5 first-round draft picks, right? Remember how unsustainable it kind of was when the Spurs had 3 first-rounders in 2022, and we had Sohan, Wesley, and Branham. You can't have 5 first-rounders in 1 year, Joe.
Yeah.
Because those are guaranteed roster spots, and all the bills come due at the same time.
Yeah.
So for the Spurs to call up Brooklyn, because if Brooklyn can't do anything with those 5 picks, if they can't consolidate them to move up, there's no way in the world Brooklyn's going to draft 5 players today. Not one way in the world that's going to happen. Rasheer Fleming falls down, you might be able to tell them, hey, look, we'll trade you X, Y, and Z, multiple second rounders or whatever the case may be.
Look at Jeff Garcia's here in the chat, always stirring the pot like always.
Oh, yeah, it says Leah takes the time out of the day to help the show while Jimenez is out again. I said thank you. And all Jimenez was trash it and say it was unlistenable. I said the first half of the show was very, very, very good. I thought you guys were doing great takes and all that stuff. And then it went to, went down to Potty Town the rest of the way. I don't know. It was just too much, dude. It just became a little too much. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, I enjoyed something different, especially being there, and having that show that we did yesterday, showcasing different talent. We had Elias on the show that does his show called Plead the Sith. We had, Chris Leha on here, who's, a big supporter of what we've done with MCS General Contracting. It was fun to have him on.
And I think, and I'll say this about Chris, and I'll say this about Leha. The more that they're on these podcasts, whether it be this podcast or the spaces with Matt Lerma or the things that they do on their own, they're getting good. They're getting better and better at what they do as far as having a good take and on the fly. They're doing a very good job of all that. It's just, I know that whenever we have one of those shows where there's a lot of cursing going on, and they get mad at me sometimes about my cursing on the show, I've toned it down because of that. I get people who flag me down and say, hey, I stopped listening because it got too cochino. I stopped listening because it got whatever. And I'm taking that into consideration. That's all it is. And you know what? I don't care if people are upset about that. It is what it is. It's the Area 210 podcast, not the Exit 7 podcast. So the joke that says we need to have some people from Stone Oak and people from Alamo Heights and all that stuff. Guess what? That's exactly what we need. We need to have this be a big podcast, and that's what we're angling for this upcoming basketball season.
Look, they said Tony Ornelas says it ended well when Leha was given 4 of us gifts. I was shocked and thought this man is nice.
Oh, didn't get past that part. I was at the checkout line at Target at that point.
I look at Sith and Leha getting mad at Jesus. Laugh my ass off. Bet Mike, sorry for filling in on you no showing. F that. I think they did a good job. I don't mind having them back.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan doesn't cuss. Nobody.
I don't think I've ever listened to Joe Rogan podcast. Is it any good?
I don't know. I haven't listened to that stuff in years, bro. Years. And the thing is, let's go ahead and take a look at the CBS mock draft too, because the CBS mock draft, it's very similar to the ESPN mock draft. They share quite.
Oh, wait. Alex 7173 has the exact comment that I had. I have to agree with Mike. I would like to listen to this on my speaker with my wife around. She wouldn't appreciate a lot of cursing. A little is authentic. A lot is trashy.
Okay.
And you know what? That's the exact comment that I got. And to be honest with you, that right there is the exact comment that is made. So you know what? It's funny. You see it. Okay. I was gonna make a joke, but the picture changed. But either way, let's go.
So here are the draft picks, from CBS, the CBS mock draft here.
Yeah.
And they're showing, okay, who's selected to go first here in round 1. Of course, it's, the Dallas Mavericks selecting one Cooper Flagg. At number 2, Spurs selecting Dylan Harper. At number 3, VJ Edgecombe. projected to go number 3 with the 76ers. At number 4, Concanipple, being selected by the Hornets.
Okay, real fast. Let's go to Concanipple. Okay. Shot 40.6 from 3. 40.6 from 3. I mean, that's elite shooting right there. 14 points per game for Duke. He was a Swiss Army knife, right? Swiss Army knife, did everything, right? Pass the ball, rebound the ball. He plays winning basketball, right? He just does what he does, right? But is that really the number 4 guy in the draft, Joe? Conkanipple's not going to be a star. He's not going to be an all-star. He's just going to be a very good NBA player. But do you pick a guy like that at number 4 who is not going to be a star? Like, okay, which would you rather have, Joe? A high ceiling or a high floor? Like the high floor is Concanipple. He's not going to suck in the NBA. He's going to have a 15-year career. He's going to be a good player in the NBA. Would you rather have that guy at number 4, Joe? Would you rather roll the dice on somebody who could be an all-star?
Here's the conundrum we're in. Spurs need a bucket getter. They need shooters, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't Concanipple fit that mold?
Okay, say that more time.
I said the Spurs need bucket getters, right? They need shooters on the team, right?
Right.
And you're looking at somebody like Concanipple, right? Doesn't he fit that mold for?
Oh, most definitely.
You know,
most definitely. But what if he turns out to be just simply Doug McDermott?
Dougie McBuckets?
You can be a 3-point shooter, be dynamic, and be a potential all-star. What if you're just Doug McDermott? I mean, McDermott had a great EFG. Right? I love that stat, effective field goal shooting percentage. I love that stat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, wouldn't you want to draft a potential star? Like, for example, if Concanipple goes down, we talked about the idea of what happens if Ace Bailey falls, right? If Ace Bailey falls down to number 8, and why would you pay 2 extra first-rounders to get him? It's because he's that talented of a player. He is a future all-star potentially. Concanipple will never be an all-star.
You think he's a role player?
He's an elite role player. He's Derek White. He's Derek White. He's a better Doug McDermott. He's Josh Giddey, right? Now, if the Spurs were to trade 1 first rounder on top of the 14, let's say they traded 14 and the 27 Atlanta Hawks pick to move up to get Concanipple, okay. But to get Ace Bailey would take a lot more firepower. You need to trade at least 2 additional ones to make that happen. Because Ace Bailey has all-star potential attached to him. By the way, talk about, okay, if you want to keep going, Joe, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. Look, we have Leah here. It says, let the record show we ain't from Marbach. Sorry, some of us are just being authentic. I'll play nice in business meetings. Don't know if I had to do it on podcast.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to push back a little bit, okay? There is authenticity to it, Joe, but he did say before the show he was going to cuss a lot. So then that's not being authentic. That's being premeditated, isn't it? I mean,
I was just kind of trying to give that warning, like they do on the Pat McAfee show. This is how real humans speak.
Then you know what, Joe? How about a happy medium? How about saying, hey, how about that? Have a warning during the show and sprinkle out throughout the show and say, by the way,
cuss because that's how real people talk,
Then there you go. We have found a compromise. Just say there's gonna be a lot more cursing today than normal. If you like it, great. If not, we have at least been warned, and then that's fine. Because then at that point, it's not on the person speaking; it's on the listener, right? Because if you watch a TV show or a movie, and you put it on Netflix, or you put it on Amazon Prime, and it says this movie contains nudity and explicit sexual situations, and then you complain about nudity and explicit situations, you saw that it was going to have that, right? That's on you. That's not on the movie. So if we're going to have guests on, and we know that there's going to be a lot more cursing than normal, then just give a few warnings every 15 minutes. Oh, by the way, then you know what? At that point,
And if
We're
you're
good.
the 1% that actually complained because of the cussing going on yesterday, and you hear it on the show right off the back, you can go ahead and say,
"What the fuck is this?"
and bounce. This ain't the show
Okay.
for you.
You know,
Go watch what's that Bluey show, that little cartoon Bluey.
You know what's funny about it, Joe, is that especially in doing what I do for a living, they oftentimes say that the ones who are most vocal are actually in the minority, right? It's like the most vocal people in politics right now is MAGA, right? They're the minority, but they got enough votes to be in power. When it comes to the silent majority of it all, the silent majority, when you get one complaint from a silent person, Joe, they usually it's like 10 to 15 people who are really saying it. And it's good. It's good. Good.
Yeah. And look at, they say just play the Pat McAfee sound before the show. The show is rated N for nasty.
So since cussing wasn't that major, only like 5 minutes of the show, but it screeches the record. It really does.
Jesse,
It limits
cry.
It limits the people who want to talk about, who listen about sports talk, Joe. I mean, it's just facts. It's just facts. And I've had to correct myself, Joe, because you know what? The number of people who complain to me, Joe, I don't know if they reach out to you, but they reach out to me in various
they
situations.
can reach out to me all they want. And you know what I'm going to tell them? F your feelings. You don't like it? Mute. Go watch something else. This ain't the show for you. You know, at the end of the day, we have everybody on the show because I like to have diversity. Does it mean that Sith is going to be on the show all the time, or Leia's going to be on the show all the time?
And I'm not saying that they can't be.
We're going to have different guests on, and we can't control what guests are going to do. We want them to be authentic. We want them to be original.
Yes, we can.
I'm not going to censor them. I'm not.
Well, then that's fine. But then what you got to do is give a warning to the listening public beforehand, and you'll be fine. That's all I'm asking. See, I'm not asking to say don't cuss. I'm just saying that the days that you know they'll be excessive, just give the warning. Nothing wrong with that, Joe. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh God, we have the whole room divided right now. What? And
you know what? And you know what? This whole conversation piece is bad. Is bad podcasting. I mean, let's just move on and talk sports.
That's what I'm saying.
It's bad because again, 90% of the people listening to this right now, who are listening to it in the future when they're listening on podcast later on today, are fast forwarding this part. You know, it's bad. It's bad.
Oh, well, you know what? I invited Jeff to come on the show today. He big time me. He didn't even get back to me. So you know what? F you, Jeff Garcia.
No comments for Jeff.
No comments for Jeff. I'm not even going to play the Locked On Spurs. I'm just playing, dude. I'd like giving Jeff a hard time, but let's go ahead and get back to the NBA draft talk.
Well, we didn't. You mentioned Jeff Garcia. We didn't give him some love.
We can give Jeff some love, sure.
And then we'll continue the draft talk.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
And that's right, more than 7,500 subscribers. And I like Puro Pinche Sports' comment right there.
What did he say?
When MJ's on, it's Area 210. When anyone else is on, it's Area Nasty. Boom! Everyone knows.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know what? Puro Pinche Sports, they like to get a little trashy about it too, man. So I like them. We need to have them on as well. I want to feature more of the podcasters. And I like Puro Pinche Sports.
I like, there are some really good podcasts that have been popping up, Joe. There's some really good podcasts that have been popping up. And Matt Lerma and Sith, the spaces that they're creating on Twitter, They're doing a really good job. That is a talent that I have no ability with. Like if you were to say, Michael, I've never been wrong. I can figure it out, right? I know how to turn it on. So that's not what I'm saying. I have no confidence in being able to have a good MC type of thing, right? You know, where you're running the whole thing and all that stuff, and you know, this person wants to speak and this person wants to speak. Like it would make my eyelids twitch if that would happen. You know, but they're doing a fantastic job with it. That's a talent I don't have, not at all. Incoming super chat coming on in.
Yeah. Then we have an incoming super chat from Jason Garcia.
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Says Mike, do you prefer TSA agents with or without gloves in the body cavity search?
Only you are the one that gets searched, man.
You know what? I there must be a terrorist who looks like me. I mean, like I don't. And you know what it was, Joe?
No.
I hadn't shaved in like 5 or 6 days. I had full on stubble, so maybe I did look like Iraqi yesterday. But I always get searched when it comes through things, man. A $20 super chat coming on in. It came in with the orange lights on, Joe.
Yeah, orange lights coming in from the Drew Show.
Here comes the money.
Look at what he says. He says, Jesus Christ. He says, Howard Stern, Bartool Sports, all about the inter-office drama. Just the biggest show in sports media outlets of all time. Mike, it's bad. It's bad. Mike, we're here to see the dancing monkey. Now dance, monkey, dance.
You know what's so funny is that even Howard Stern has cleaned up his act. He used to be bad, man.
Bro.
Dude,
I mean, he was bad back
80s,
real bad.
90s, early 2000s. Howard Stern was
he
bad.
had to be taken off air and then join the Sirius. And at the time, it was Sirius, and now it's XM radio. You know.
Yeah, Private Parts was a good movie, by the way.
Yeah,
it was a very good movie. But if you watch Howard Stern now, is there cursing? A little bit, but it's like 5% of what it used to be, right? You look at Barstool Sports, even the Levitard show, they own their own thing, right? They've toned it down. And you do that because you want to get more listeners, Joe. It's just want to get more listeners. Locked on Spurs. Jeff Garcia is now he was being racist towards Middle Eastern men. Well, I probably, I don't know. I don't know why I always get patted down and all that stuff. This time did not get patted down. So both ways did not get patted down. Went through there was no issue with it, right? But to get my passport taken from me, looked at, and then they say, we'll be back. And they walk into another room for 10 minutes.
Oh.
But yeah, that was kind of interesting. Joe, I ate healthy on that vacation.
Did you? You didn't
First
go
time
fried foods? No,
I haven't had fried foods in like a week. No, man. I don't know. Trying to get back on it, Joe.
Well, Chica wasn't able to cook for you while you were on vacation because you're on vacation, but it's good that you at least ate healthy.
Yeah, Chica has me on high protein, low carb. Not no carb, just lower carb.
Yeah.
So she's got me on that mix. I actually lost weight on the trip. I'm 8 pounds lighter than what I was when I left. I'm sure a lot of it's water weight, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, when
Mike sounds like Zuckerberg at Congress.
When did he say, Jesse? When does the new show? When does the new show with the new host LG start? My boy LG, I got to get him back on the show. I got to talk with him.
Joe, I wish that there was something that we could do tonight. I mean, can you turn the stream on, Joe? Can I do the show solo from here? Get callers in
if you want.
I'll even let Leha cuss up a storm. Let's make this happen.
You could do that if you want, man. We could go ahead and bring. I can give you the keys to get into the stream, and I'll have everything already. Like, say it's already laid out. All you got to do is just kind of fix your video,
Let me see
as
if I can
far as
make
the
that happen.
size.
Let me
And
see if I
I
can
just
make that
give you
happen.
the login information. You can just, it's kind of plug and play. I'll send you what the template that I use for everything.
Okay, no promises yet. I think especially having the template there in case something big happens. Like if the Spurs make a big move, I need to have a way to just turn the sucker on.
I mean, I can
And
join you, but I won't be able to join you until like 9 o'clock because that's when I get out of work.
I don't want to have. What time's the draft at today?
I'd probably think it like, so I don't know, 8 o'clock. I want to say somewhere around there.
Maybe we do a show at 9.
Because I could go live with you at 9.
Because we know the Spurs are going to draft Dylan Harper at 2.
Yeah.
There's no drama on that yet. The drama is going to be the 9 o'clock hour. It's going to be the 9 o'clock hour, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that off air.
Yeah.
About that off air.
They go,
Hey,
let
Joe,
us call in.
Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper. When we talk about the player comparisons, our good friend Drew Show was saying, "Oh, these player comparisons suck ass. None of it matters. Whatever. It's just what reporters think and whatnot, right?"
Yeah.
They asked Dylan Harper, "Who do you play like?" He said, "I'm Cade Cunningham with shades of James Harden." All righty then. I mean, I got a little excited about that, Joe.
Yeah.
But Seth is asking who's going for a meetup for the draft. Unfortunately, I can't meet up. This is the month that I have my daughter, and so I'm going to be with her. I got to spend that quality dad time when it comes to it all.
Yeah, we're gonna have a happy hour or something here soon, because I want to go and give some love to the Mad Pecker, man, because they went under. They closed their doors, they shuttered their business, and then they opened back up. And I just want to be able to help, the small business owner here in town who suffers quite a bit compared to some of the bigger, chains that are out there, like let's say a Twin Peaks or Buffalo Wild Wings or some of the other bigger chains that you have out there, because they can order in quantity, and they have these deals in place where nowadays people don't yet, let's say, want the craft beer, or they don't want that specialized food that you can only get at said mom and pop business because it's mass produced, it's cheap. Cheap doesn't always mean good. It's just cheap, and that's why people go out to these big sports bars and whatnot to partake of cheap beer, in quantity, not quality. And I think we need to give some love to the little guy, and that's why I want to go ahead and have a meetup at the Mad Peckers here soon with the gente, the people from the show.
Matt Pecker does a fantastic job. I just look at it's such a difficult business to be in because you're trying, especially with Matt Pecker is located off of Tesla Road and close to Culebra, and it's a shop. They have to give the vibe of it being a neighborhood bar because it is.
It is.
They serve pizza and they serve wings and things like that. But it's got to be difficult to be a neighborhood bar because in San Antonio, one thing Chica mentions to me all the time, Joe.
Yeah.
She goes, "Michael, San Antonio is just a bunch of restaurants and bars." She goes, "It's everywhere." And you go to Houston, Conroe, Woodlands, and whatnot. It's true. It's true. Like on the way to the airport at San Antonio International, there's a restaurant every mile, like every exit, right? You go to IAH over here, there ain't one restaurant between 45 and IAH. I mean, I know it's a toll road, but there's not one restaurant for 15 miles leading up to the airport. Not one, Joe. And it's not like a joke. It's not an exaggeration. It is not one off the road for 15 miles.
What do you say? It's factual and actual.
Oh, TLC, that's actual and factual.
Speaking of, rumors here as we're getting ready to close this show because we've been going on for a little bit here. The Kings are now willing to go ahead and test the trade market for Domantas Sabonis per it says Jay Anderson of SACB. So he's reporting right now.
I mean,
of the
Sacramento local reporter. That's the newspaper over there.
Sacramento Bee, in other words, the Sacramento Bee He's their local reporter, their beat writer for the Kings, and he's reporting that the Kings are reportedly taking, interest. They're taking calls and offers for one Domantas Sabonis there, son of the great Sabonis there, Arvydas Sabonis. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. I bet you anything the Spurs are going to be linked to that as well, because they're linked to just about anybody that comes out on the trade market, because they're a team that has the trade capital and they have the finances, to go ahead and make these deals happen.
Yeah, Sabonis can spread the floor. He can rebound. He could do a little bit of everything. I think that's the weird dilemma going on with the Spurs right now. Is that the Spurs, by getting the best players available, are getting people around the perimeter, which is where Wemby wants to be. And you hear all this talk about how Wemby does not want to play down low, play the 5. It's so bizarre, Joe. It's so bizarre that he does not want to take advantage of his biggest asset offensively, which is his height. Like, he'd rather chunk up 3-pointers like crazy at a 31% clip than be 7'4", 7'5". Some reports being 7'6" down low. I just don't get it. Hey, Joe, at some point this week, I want to get into I mentioned in the chat yesterday.
Yeah.
Is Caitlin Clark the most overrated basketball player in the WNBA?
I've been saying, Mike, I think the one thing that she does well is she markets herself well. Her team does an amazing job when it comes to marketing. But as far as her being this generational type player, what's happening is that teams are finding her out. They're being more physical with her. And I think some of her weaknesses have been overlooked. But when you look at her game as a whole, she's not as good as advertised. She brings in the ratings because she's popular, but she's not as good as advertised. Joe,
everyone tries to make her out as being, and James Pledger is getting pissed off right now from San Antonio Sports Star, his show Monday through Friday, extra innings, 6 to 7 p.m. on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Going after Angel Reese, right? Because that's the key. You say one bad thing about Caitlin, well, Angel Reese sucks, right? But let's talk about Caitlin, right? Joe, she's shooting from 3 this year, 29%. That's lower than Sohan. Jeremy Sohan this season is a better 3-point shooter than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark for her career is a 33% 3-point shooter. And did you know, Joe, that out of all the WNBA players that average 4 or more 3-point attempts per game, she's one of the worst ones, Joe. I did the math in my head the other day. There's like 17 of them, and she's like ranked 14th in percentage. There are some sharp shooters in the WNBA, Joe, that are shooting 38, 40, 45%, literally.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark is there 29%. 29. Career 33. 29 this year. 33 for her career. Joe, do you know who she is? She's not Michael Jordan, Joe.
Sohan.
She's Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. Or Jeremy Sohan. He shoots about the same from beyond the arc as she does.
But Sohan's not getting 30 points per game. She's not getting all. Sohan's not getting all-star appearances. The idea that she's going to come in and be the Jordan of this league is the biggest load of crap that I've heard in a while, Joe.
Well, you were all for her. That deserves chancla. Because now you're flip-flopping on your girl. You're flip-flopping on your girl.
She's never been my girl, Joe. I've never been a
I could go back and get the tape, Mike. I got to go get it. Chancla.
Okay, Joe. She's Dak Prescott, Joe. She's empty stats, empty calorie stats.
Now you're giving up on her, man. That was your girl. You were singing her praises.
Tony Ronaldo said AI was a great player back comparison. You know what? She's a good player. She's a very good player. She's going to make several all-star teams, right? She's going to make every year she'll be in the league, right? How many chips did he win? How many chips did Allen Iverson win? Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony were what? They were stat gatherers. Why is Caitlin Clark like number 2 or 3 in the league right now in most 3-point made attempts?
Yeah, we do have an
leads the league in the most attempts. She shoots the ball too much. And who leads the league in turnovers right now? Who led it last year? Broke the record all time. WNBA.
Caitlin.
Dude,
And look at
she's
this.
Allen Iverson, dude.
Here comes the
She's Allen
money.
Iverson.
So we got Grandmaster Choda. He goes, Mike's Mad Pecker starting to throb for throbbing at Harp's comps.
That's true. That's true. Chica mentioned that phrase. Chica and I were driving from the airport back, and we were talking about the podcast, right? And I said, she goes, "What's that one?" She goes, "I was talking to her about the t-shirts."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What phrases did you have on the shirts?" And then she goes, "Is there one that says throbbing?"
Yes, we are going to have that one next. He's throbbing. And that one's pretty good. That one was done by Elias. So thank you, Elias, for designing that one. And we're also going to have the Marbach of Mike here. It's going to be up there because I know Tony Ornelas and some of the other fans here have asked for it. So that's coming here too.
What's the speaking of Sohan? Sohan was at the Suns facility because that's where Team Poland was practicing. But
have you seen the video? I'm going to show you this because we were talking about Sohan working out and whatnot. And as we're going to go ahead and bring this show to a close, because I'm looking at the time right now, I'm going to show you video that Jeff Garcia posted. And this is actually of Sohan working out. And the thing is Jeff puts on, Jeremy Sohan is giving max effort in off-season training, is what he's saying. So I'm going to show this to you guys on screen. And you tell me what you think, Mike. He's locked in.
Somebody's in a contract year.
Exactly, man.
Someone is finally giving effort because you know what? His next check depends on it. It's amazing what a contract year will do, right?
Finally, he's getting serious about playing ball.
Yeah, because him playing well this year versus not playing well this year probably is a $40 to $50 million swing in either direction, Joe. You're gonna make $25 million a year. You're gonna make $8 million a year over the course of 3 years. Over the course of 3 years, $24 million, or do you want 3 years, $75 million? Which one do you want? He's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Well, everyone have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic day today. Joe, I know it's last minute thing, Joe, but I might want to go on when the Spurs drafted 14. You know what? We'll talk about this offline later on today. We'll see how we're feeling, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing that. We just can go ahead and we can go live, like I said, after I get out of work. But if you want to go ahead and go on before and you want to react in real time, you could do that as well. I don't got a problem with it.
Very nice, very nice. True show. What a comment there. So I just dribbled the ball in front of a fat man. What? No shooting? Oh, and on a bungee cord.
I love it. I love it.
Everyone, happy draft day. Happy Shamsharania day. Maybe we'll be back tonight. If we are, we're going to send the warning out on Twitter. Follow us at MJ Acquired Taste. Joe's at Area 210 podcast, right?
Yep. Area 210 podcast. Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Ren G says this show's on a contract year. That's why he doesn't want to cuss anymore.
We've been on for 2 years straight already, Mike.
It has been. It's been a fun
2 years.
And, Joe, thank you for calling me that day. I had at that time when I got laid off from
let go.
I had 3 podcast companies call me and 2 radio stations call me.
Yeah.
Wanting to do something or whatnot. I chose the right one. I have no regrets at all.
Yeah, we have a good time. We got good chemistry. And when you just come into the studio, like we said, I mean, we don't have to prep. We just be like, this is what we're talking about. It's easy. It shouldn't be hard to do a podcast. It's just should come natural. And that's what we do. We just kind of just shoot the breeze, man. It's like bar talk. I think that's why everybody enjoys it so much.
Yeah, it's good
You
times,
know?
man. It's
It's
good times.
authentic.
The show has evolved over time, and it's a good. We have a good mix of things. We've kind of gravitated away from the pop culture aspects of things, mostly because the Spurs talk has become so prevalent
Yeah,
right
popular.
now. We'll go back to pop culture and whatnot probably after the draft and whatnot, because there's going to be not much to get into, because I don't talk baseball, because baseball, unless you're at the game,
We're gonna
kind of
have
sucks.
some meetups though. That's the next plan. That's the move. SAFC games. We're gonna go to an SAFC game. Me and you, Mike. We'll take if Chica wants to join us. That'd be great. But we're gonna hang out with some of the listeners, and we're also gonna go and hang out at a missions game, baseball game. That's fun, dude. Especially if you
Yeah.
get the seats that are under the covered area where you get shade and you're not baking out there in the middle of on the outfield somewhere, or on the
Mhm.
grass. No, I'm good. I want to be in the shade, dude.
Did I tell you
So,
what Chica's walk-up song was when she went up to bat
what
in
was it?
college baseball?
What?
Man Eater by Hall & Oates.
You know what? Next time I see Chica,
Oh,
I'm
here
gonna
she
ask her.
comes.
I'm gonna ask her. I'm gonna be like, why didn't you ever tell us you were like a softball aficionado? It's like, see what's going on with that. Like how far did you go with your career? Like how far did you all go when she was playing on the team? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, she talks about it all the time. She says that she had offers to Pac-12 schools
Yeah.
to go play softball, but she didn't want to have that life, and she came from Austin and in a rural town, Austin, and then she moved to West Texas and
She
whatnot.
made the right choice, for her.
Yeah, which is why she cheers for the Spurs, by the way, because she's from Austin.
There you go. And look,
So
Drew Show said he was here when we had 19 live viewers, and now we have 60 plus for over an hour. Appreciate
yeah, and that's a good clip to get, Joe. It's a good clip to get, because what we have found is that there are more people who are now watching the show after the show ends
Yeah.
than live. So it's like a 50-50 mix. The numbers take a while to kind of calculate, but no, it's getting good. And I think the big question is, and why I bring up the talk, or at least a warning for people, is that we want this show to be. We have a very good run rate right now, Joe. We are actually starting to finally gain traction again. We had a lot of traction. We started off on fire, came back down, and something happened about 3 months ago, where our numbers started getting higher and higher and higher. And now the question becomes, how do we blow this thing up? And the
Oh,
way
I
to
got
blow things
ideas.
up is by being more welcoming.
Yeah, not only that, but also getting out there and being able to rub elbows with the listeners, not just here in San Antonio, but everywhere else. And by showing appreciation, just like to the Drew Show. And I'm going to show appreciation to Elias and everybody else, Mario Cavasso, some of the other guys that have been here, Sam Salinas, Matt Gomez, Big Sean PD, Black Bucket, all these guys that have been here for the beginning. We're going to wind up sending these guys something special here in the summertime. I got the laser engraver for a reason. We're going to be able to send merch. We're going to put together a branded box that has the Area 210 logo on it, and we're going to send that off as a thank you for you all's continued support, because we appreciate you.
Very nice, man. Thank you so much for all the love and support, Joe. Thank you to MCS General Contracting, Chris Leha, Sith for filling in yesterday. Thank you so much to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken Spy for being an instigator from the very beginning. It's fun, dude. And what I do after this is I take all this off and I put on a polo, or I put on a dress shirt, and then I do Zooms with clients. So
Yeah.
I gotta get back and start doing that, Joe. And you need to go to work. We'll link up later on this afternoon, see how things are going, all right? And see if we can get something going tonight. Everyone have a fantastic day. Go Spurs, go. Welcome to the family, Dylan Harper. We'll see who the Spurs get at 14. Move up for Ace. Move it up. Move it up.
If they do, we're going to lose it, man. If they do, we're going to go. Mike's going to be, give me the information. I'm going live right now. We got Ace Bailey.
We have breaking news.
Yep.
Go Spurs, go. We'll be back. See ya.
Y'all tomorrow.